Good evening, and welcome to the Mamie Keith and Allene Bradley Educational Foundation live broadcast, also known as Educate Our Youth. I'm your host, Janet Keith Thompson, and the mission of Educate Our Youth is to make college more accessible through education, mentoring, professional development, and any other means available to students by offering such programs as the ACT and SAT workshops, tour college campus, assist with applying for financial aid, financial literacy, and young entrepreneurship. My guest this afternoon is my son, Terry Williams. Terry is also the co-founder of the Mamie Keith and Allene Bradley Educational Foundation and vice president. Has his own trucking company, and that's what we're going to talk about with with our viewing audience today about the trucking industry and how to get into it, what's expected out of it, and the ups and downs of the trucking industry. Good evening, Terry.
Yeah, how you doing, man?
I'm great. I'm great. So listen, I know you. So, but tell the audience a little bit about you.
Well, as you know, my name is Terry Williams, co-founder, vice president of the Educate Our Youth. A little bit about me. My background is went from Conway High School to Georgetown High School, and ended up at South Carolina State for 3.5 years. And of course, well, not of course, but some unfortunate situations happened, which led me to incarceration. So I did a period of incarceration um, twice. Um, complete that second term in January of 2010, and that situation is what really led me to where I am today because I just couldn't take the chance of losing my freedom with my children or my child at the time. I have two children now, and I didn't want to be taken away from them again. So I had to find something to do that was going to be profitable for me, and ultimately I started a few businesses. I started breeding dogs. I moved to Texas. When I got released, to Conway, South Carolina. Then I ended up moving to Houston and ultimately Beaumont. And in that travel, I started a few businesses, breeding dogs, customizing motorcycles. And then I ended up with a job at a property management company. And I stayed there for a while. It was an easy job, made a little bit of money, and finished my associate degree because I went back and got my associates in business management through Houston Community College. And after that, there's some things that went on with the job, and the regional guy came in, and he was settling a dispute between myself and the area manager. And told me, he said, "Hey, this you might be a little bit too much for this position, and you just got your degree, and you might want to try something else." And I took his advice. I had some money saved up, and I went to truck driving school, and I met a guy there named uh, Maurice O'Neill, and he gave me the game to trucking. He asked me a question when I got in his truck. He said, "Hey, do you want to learn how to drive trucks, or you want to learn how to operate a trucking company?" And I told him, "I want to learn how to operate a company." And he basically gave me the foundation of what created what I have going on today, which is operating a trucking business. And that was 2013 that I started. So I started at Swift. They had a good program for new entrants into the trucking field.
Right.
And about 3 months into uh, driving, I drove for his name was Maurice, but I call him Shaq, so I'm gonna call him Shaq.
Yeah.
I drove for Shaq for about 3 months, and then I just wanted to do something different because he gave me a lot of game, but I wanted to do it on my way, because I was using his equipment, so I had to also drive by his rules.
Right.
So I ended up getting my own truck. Went I saw a truck at the dealership, and I got pre-approved for it, and that's when I started my truck driving. My own first truck was in, I think I was uh, August or September 2013, and
Okay.
and that's what led me to here. That was my foundation in the trucking business.
So you've owned the trucks. You've owned your own truck since 2013.
Yes.
So tell the audience a little bit about the training process. What did you learn? Because you went through the training while you was driving for Swift, correct?
Yes, yes.
What can you tell the audience that could help anyone that's out there thinking about going into the trucking or going to truck driving training school?
Well, the training process was quick. Um, but it's because it's fast. It's a fast paced situation because they really back then they changed now because of COVID, but back
Right.
then it was a pipeline to get the drivers on the road. So your actual training. So when you go to a driving school, all their job is to do is to teach you how to get enough to get your license. That's all they do at the truck driving training school. They train you enough to operate the truck to pass the driver's test. Your
Okay.
actual training doesn't come until you get a mentor. And that's what Shaq was to me. He was an actual mentor that really shows you how to drive the truck in real time situations. So
Okay.
truck driving school is usually on a closed course, and you're learning how to do your backs, your 9-degree backs. You're learning how to do your pre-trip inspections on the truck. So when you get in the truck in the morning, before you get in the truck, you want to check the truck thoroughly, make sure your tires, everything is good, air pressure, there's no leaks, everything is functioning properly as it should. Belts are not frayed, anything like that. It's a whole list of things. It's a checklist that you really have to go through on a pre-trip. You're supposed to do every
Okay.
morning, and they teach you that, and then they'll teach you how to make your maneuvers, your 9-degree alley docks, parallel parking the truck. And you have to remember this is a 75-foot vehicle, and it's
The
two
trailer.
vehicles.
Yeah.
Right. So it's the tractor and the trailer. So you actually operate in two vehicles. That's why
Okay.
they call it a combination vehicle. And so all those things you learn at the truck driving school. Then you go to the mentor program, and they'll teach you how to drive in real time. So you get out on the road in traffic and you're actually delivering loads. And that
Okay.
process is about two months. And you get paid for that, but you don't get paid while you're in the driving school, but you get paid while you're in the mentorship.
Okay. 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 So once you've completed your mentorship, then you're on your own. You get your own truck. You're out there on your own by yourself. What have
Yes.
you encountered when driving on your own in the trucking industry?
Well, like, what have I not encountered? I mean, you driving on your own, you really get a feel of the road. You understand what's out there, what decision making you have to make in real time to protect other people, to protect yourself.
Right.
So man, encountered. I mean, people getting on the overpass. I mean, getting on this acceleration lane. They're coming off, getting onto the interstate off acceleration lane, but they
Hmm.
want to slow up. It's an acceleration lane, so you're
Right.
supposed to accelerate in that lane, not slow up, because these trucks, I'm carrying 80,000 pounds sometimes, and they just don't stop when you want them to stop. So if you
Right.
pull out in front of me, and I don't have enough room to stop, then I could possibly hit you. But in my training, in my experience, when I'm trained to scan the area, look at the highway, anticipate somebody doing just that, and act
Hmm.
accordingly before they decide to slow down on the acceleration lane, and I can already move over and make my adjustments, or I can slow down. And
Okay.
that's just one thing. And you also got the weather elements.
Yeah.
Um, Going to Wyoming, Colorado, where you're out in the plains. So when you're out in the plains area, you don't have a lot of trees. So the wind speeds are high. Like, South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia, you have a lot of trees. So the trees actually break down the wind speeds. But when you're
Right.
up in the plains, there's no trees. So you're going down I-80, I-90, and a gust of wind, hits the side of that truck. It acts like a parachute. And if the gust of wind is strong enough, it'll really blow those trucks over. You see trucks blowing over all the time.
Yes, I do.
you,
Hmm.
you know and that's one of the things you have to prepare for. So if you're not heavy, if you know you're light and the wind is too heavy, you have to hold the steering wheel with both hands. Just be prepared for that hit, because I've been, the wind has taken me off the road a few times. But I personally avoid those areas. Anything that I have to do hard driving, unsafe driving,
Right.
I avoid those areas.
Okay. Well, as you know, I'm the weather person for you. So when I hear of inclement weather,
Absolutely.
I'm on the
Hmm.
phone calling you and your brother, let you know what the situation is like. Um, so is it when earlier this year, right after when COVID started,
Hmm.
a lot of the freight was on the piers and stuff, and they weren't. And so
Yeah.
it made the news people made it sound like the truckers, there wasn't enough truckers, and they wasn't picking up the cargo from the ports.
Hmm.
So what did you experience any of that?
Yeah.
Before?
Well, what it did is the ports are a major part of the supply chain. So when it's anytime there's a disruption in the supply chain, it affects everybody either positively or negatively.
Right.
For us, the owner operators, it affected us positively because it increased the rates. But for the
Okay.
consumer, it affects you guys negatively because when they have to pay us more, they have to charge you guys more for the product.
Right.
But the port situation is a little, it has more of a bureaucracy because of the unions and things like that. So
Okay.
they have certain operation hours, and then all that's they don't have enough room to put the stuff. They don't have enough drivers coming in, and then there it's like a baseball lockout. People want certain
Okay.
things, and then they say, well, you know what, well, we gonna do this, and then you also have the other regulations, and then you have with COVID, a lot of people is getting the unemployment.
Right.
So when you got guys that's getting unemployment plus an extra $600, some guys are bringing home $1,200, $1,300 a week. They're not going to work. They don't want to go to work. I'm
Right.
getting a free $1,200 just to sit at home. So that also contributed to the lack of drivers throughout the beginning of the pandemic. It's starting to ease back out now. Things are starting to
Okay.
smooth out a little bit now, but you can still tell a disruption in the supply chain.
Okay. You just mentioned owner operator a few minutes ago. Explain to the audience what owner operator means.
Owner operator is a person that owns and operates the truck.
Mhm.
So I'm an owner operator. You have owner operators, you have lease operators, which is a person that leases on to a particular company. He may own that truck or he may be leasing the truck from that company, but he's under that company's umbrella. So
Okay.
he's a lease operator. And then you have a company driver who doesn't own the truck. He doesn't have any responsibilities of the truck. He just drives the truck for whatever particular company, excuse me, that he drives for.
Okay. Okay, cool. So there a lot of owner operators, or the majority of the people are driving for company, oh, excuse me, for companies.
Well, there's a lot of there's more owner in the last 4 years. Owner operators has probably increased maybe 200-300% um, over company drivers because when you're owner operator, it's your company, right?
Right.
Everything is all you. You apply to FMCSA, Federal Motor Carriers Association, and they'll give you an MC number, USDOT number, and then you get your commercial insurance, which covers your liability if you get in a wreck. It covers your cargo if something happens to the cargo. But all
Right.
of that's on you. You're responsible for paying all that. You're responsible for following all the regulations. You're responsible for putting in the electronic logging device, which was mandated 2 years ago. Up until 2 years ago, you could ran paper logs.
Right.
Now you can only run paper logs if you have a truck that's pre-ELD, and most of those trucks are '08 and older. So
Okay.
yeah, um, with that you have your maintenance, expense, your
Right.
fuel expense, everything is on you, and it's not easy. It's not an easy situation. There's ups and downs. That the trucking, the freight, just like the stock market. Sometimes it pays good, sometimes it doesn't. But those fixed costs stay the same. So you might gross 20,000 this month, or you might gross 10,000, but you have a fixed cost of $6,000 a month for your truck note, trailer note,
Right.
insurances. Those things never change. So you have to do whatever you have to do to keep those expenses down. With fuel being the biggest expense that you will have.
Right.
I spend about a grand. Well, before this Ukraine situation, I was spending about 1,200 a week, and
And
eight to
fuel.
1,200 a week in diesel fuel.
Oh,
Now it's closer to $2,000 a week.
wow, that's a lot.
Yeah,
That's a
yeah,
lot. That's a
two
lot.
thousand dollars a week. Last week when I went to California, I ended up spending 2,700 to go to California and back from Atlanta.
Okay. And so, how often are you on the road?
Well, I since I own it, and that's one of the reasons why I chose ownership. I go out maybe a week at a time.
Okay.
Um, as you know, I just got my truck back out the shop, so I've been going 2 weeks, but I rarely stay out 2 weeks.
Right.
Normally, it's about 7 to 10 days.
Right.
Sometimes I average about 5 days, but normally it's a 7 to 10 day stay out on uh, my loads. Just depending on what I take, where I go, what my finances look like. Because when you're in a position of ownership, I don't have anybody dictating when I leave, when I
Right.
come home. My bills pretty much dictate when I leave, when I
When
come
you
home.
go home. Right. Right. So listen, there's some. I've seen a lot of young women driving truck now, and
Mm-hmm.
I guess since you and your brother are driving truck, I just pay attention to different types of trucks, something on the highway, and then when I see a woman driving, like it excites me. I'm glad to see women driving trucks, but tell for women out there that might be interested in becoming a truck driver, what would your advice be to them?
It's a good industry to get in for anybody.
Okay.
Um, it's not the easiest industry for women because again, men are testosterone driven,
Right.
and this is the biggest issue I think I see with women is
Okay.
not just the truck driving itself because that's there's a need for that. So if they can
Right.
get a woman, it don't matter. They just want somebody to drive the truck.
Right.
But the issue with the women is the safety.
Right. I got
Being
you.
being
Okay.
at the truck stop with these guys that haven't been home in 2, 3, 4 months, and they
Right.
see a pretty woman walking the truck stop, and they want to speak to them and all that. So, like for example, I see women all the time. I don't speak first, and it's not
Right.
out of that. It's just that these women get attacked so much verbally that sometimes you speak for they won't even speak back because they're like, well, if I speak back, this guy then he gonna bother me.
Right. Right.
So if I make eye contact and they speak first, I'll speak back. If they don't, I don't take offense to it because I understand what they go through
Right.
on a
Okay.
daily basis. I've seen it firsthand,
Okay.
especially if they're attractive. If they're attractive, they gonna let them have it at the truck stop.
So they get ridiculed, in other
Right? They
words.
just get bothered. What's your baby? How you doing? Let me get your phone number. I mean, as soon as they step out the truck and they're trying to get gas, food, use the bathroom, all same thing we do at the truck. They try to do the same thing.
Right.
So that's and so they have to really be safe and watch what's going on around them. And most of the ones I've seen, they are.
Okay. Okay. So would you say for a young entrepreneur that's interested in going into trucking, should he pursue just a truck driver? Should he pursue owning his own company, um, or driving for a company?
It depends on what the goal is.
Okay.
Um, if his goal is just to make a certain income, and let's
Hmm.
say that income is $100,000 a year, and that's his goal, then he's better off just buying a truck and leasing on to somebody's company, and that therefore he doesn't have to worry about, the international fuel tax. You don't have to worry about the insurance. It's just a bunch of things that he doesn't have to really worry about. Because every
Right.
quarter I have to pay IFTA taxes on all the
Right.
miles I travel in each state.
Okay.
And then for the year, I have to get my apportion plates, and I have to document all the miles I travel in each state. If there's all the miles I travel in each state each quarter, the portion plate is all the miles I travel in each state all year. Then they assign a tax to that. You pay that tax, you get your tag. But somebody who's leased onto a company, like if you lease on the Landstar, you don't have to worry about none of that. All
Right.
you get, all Landstar deduct a certain percentage out of your money, and everything else come to you. You
Oh,
just have to drive under their rules. If they say, "Hey, you can't do this, you can't do that," then that's what it is, and that's a little bit difficult. If you need more freedom, then I suggest you go into business for yourself.
okay.
But when you go into business for yourself, that's a hard responsibility. But I would recommend anybody go from lease operator
Hmm.
to go if you can go lease operator without leasing from that company, because if you decide to leave that company, you can take the truck with you. See, that's what I
Oh,
did. I bought my truck. I didn't buy my truck from Swift like most people do. I bought my truck from a dealership. So when I
okay.
got ready to leave Swift, I was able to leave. If
I
I
got.
bought the truck from Swift, I couldn't leave until that contract was up or that truck was paid for, or I would have had to walk away from that truck and
Oh,
everything I invested in it. So I would
okay.
go that route, then go to Landstar, because Landstar teaches you actually how to book and negotiate your freight. You running it pretty much like you own it, but you don't.
Yeah.
And and that gives you the experience to really get out on your own. And then if they a little bit too much for you, then go and get your own MC number, DOT number, and be your own boss.
I hear you. So, how was you haven't encountered any problems with safety? Out there on the road, have you? What truck
Not
stops, something like that?
nothing that wisdom can't get you out of.
Okay.
Um, I've had little situations with guys. A guy sprayed me with some water one time, and
Um,
I responded to it, and he got like he had like he was real tough. So
yeah.
I seen what was going on. I said, "Oh, he probably carrying a gun because a lot of truck drivers, owner operators have guns."
Right.
And not to pull the color card, but he was a white guy,
Right.
and I knew what was going on. So I
Right.
just laughed and smiled at him, and I walked away.
Okay.
And sometimes you just have to be smart in the situation. I could have got bad and went up to him, but it might not have ended well for me because if he had a firearm, then I would have been threatening him, and he would have been standing his ground, and I'd
Right.
been,
Right. Right.
you know,
Well,
so
smart thinking. Continue to think that way
yeah,
so you can make it back home safe.
absolutely. That's the goal. The goal is to get back home
Yeah.
by any means.
Yeah. Yeah. So, is there anything that you would like to tell the audience about trucking that you haven't said to them, that would give them some insight if they decide to take that field?
Um, I mean, it's a lot to unpack with the trucking because it has so many different
Variables. Yeah.
variables involved. But I will say, if you're I'm a risk taker. That's who I am. That's why my life has went the way that it has gone, and I just
Yeah.
had to funnel that energy into something positive. If
Right.
you're a risk taker, because it's a big risk, because it don't all work. I've had one, two, three, four. I've had four trucks.
Right.
Sometimes you buy a truck and they get expensive. I put 30 grand in the truck I had before the one I'm in now. I put 30 grand in it over 4 months time, and then I had to walk away from it because it broke down again, and that bill was gonna be $20,000. The
Oh
truck
wow.
had 800,000 miles on it. I still owe 40,000 on the truck, so I had to
Oh,
make a business decision. Do I want to put another 20 grand in this truck with 400,000 with 800,000 miles on it, still owing 40,000, or do
right.
I want to walk away from it and go get a newer truck with less miles for less than the 40,000?
Okay.
So that's what I did. I went and bought another truck, a 2015. This was 2020. It had 500,000 miles on it for $32,000, and that's
Okay.
been the best decision I've made. And once you get into understanding business credit and how that works, then
Yeah.
you'll understand that I was able to get out of that truck and not take a hit on my personal credit, so I still have good credit
Right.
without any. So I don't have any repos,
Okay.
But you have to set yourself up to be able to take. You have to have your LLC, which removes the liability from you. You separate your business from yourself. So I actually have two LLCs. I have an
Okay.
LLC that I operate my business under, and I have an LLC that owns all my equipment.
Right. Oh.
So let's say on the TCJ Transportation, that's what I operate under. So if I get in a wreck and it causes death or serious bodily injury, and they want to sue, they have to sue TCJ Transportation.
Okay.
TCJ Transportation don't own anything, right?
Right.
So when
Okay.
you sue me and I lose and I get hit for $2, $3, $4 million, then they'll hit me with a judgment under that company, but that company doesn't own anything because
Right.
I lease TCJ Holdings lease the equipment to TCJ Transportation. So TCJ Holdings can go lease those on to another corporation and still
Okay.
maintain. So I still have the equipment. TCJ Transportation just be defunct because of the lawsuit and that hit that I took. So you have to set yourself. That's what I mean by it's a lot to the
Yeah.
trucking outside of just driving a truck. You have to set up your business, your business credit. Like I have a fuel card. They just increased my fuel weekly limit to $11,000.
Okay.
So I can go get $11,000 for fuel this week, and I pay it on Friday, and then that resets my $11,000 again. So I don't have to come out my pocket every week to pay for
Got
fuel.
you.
And then with that particular card, I get fuel discounts. So if I go to certain truck stops, I might get 20, 10, 20, 30, 40 cents off of
Off the
off
yes.
of a gallon.
Oh,
So
okay.
so if I'm saving, I save with that card. I save about $150, $200 a week, which is $800 a month. You see what I'm
Okay.
saying? And
Okay.
and and that's just the small aspect. So like I said, I can get into a lot of things, but
Right.
but I would definitely recommend um trucking if you're uh, okay with not being home, and then eventually and getting the experience. Like my whole goal was not to be in the trucking company forever, or be
Yeah.
in the driver's seat forever. You
Right.
know, I just like it, but now I'm shifting to just putting more units on under me, hiring
Okay.
drivers, and being at home. But I wanted to get out and understand all aspects of the business before I step back and put somebody in the truck. So that way I know what's going on. When they call me and they have a problem, I can tell them what's going on, in real time, because I've already been through that. I've already experienced that. And I
Exactly.
have a network across the country that if a truck breaks down and you're in Texas, you can go here. If a truck breaks down and you're in Mississippi, you can go here. If a truck breaks down in Jersey, you can go here, because I created this network, you know,
Okay. So
eventually.
I understand that trucks are higher, are much more expensive now. The used trucks.
Yes,
I guess
yes,
just like the way cars are going up and used cars are going up, they've gone up on the trucks as well.
yeah.
Think they'll
And
come
that
back down anytime soon?
not well, they might start to go down a little bit now, because
Yeah.
with diesel being $5 to $6 a gallon,
Okay.
everybody's not running to buy trucks right now.
Right. Oh,
So it's the supply and demand. So when the chip shortage came in, then that slowed up. With chip shortage, on top of it was COVID first, then behind COVID with the chip shortage.
yeah.
So you had a lot of trucks that weren't being made. Same thing with the trailers. They weren't
Okay.
being made. So that drove the supply and demand. At the same time, rates went up because of the supply chain disruption. So now everybody wants to get in the trucking. So when
Okay.
everybody wants to get in the trucking, everybody wants a truck. That the demand goes up, supply is low, price of the truck go up. So the same
Well,
my truck that I paid $32,000 for two years ago, this same truck with 700 to 800,000 miles is selling for 55, 60,000. I could sell this truck right now with almost 800,000 miles on it for $60,000.
wow.
A brand new truck 2 years ago was about 140. A brand new truck right now is 225.
Get out.
Yeah, the average used, decent
That's a
used
lot.
truck, yeah,
Yeah.
it's extremely high. The average used truck right now for, let's say, 3 4 year old truck with 500,000 miles, about 80 grand, $89,000.
What year was that you said?
I said the trucks right now, if you go get a truck right now between 2017 2018, with
Yeah.
about 400 to 500,000 miles, those trucks are going for 80 $90,000.
Okay. Okay.
When 2 years ago they were 50 or 60,000.
Hmm. Well, there's money to be made in the trucking industry all the way around. Sounds like to me.
Yeah,
From the
definitely.
sale of the trucks and the trailers to the driver himself, so, and the companies. But listen, it's been interesting, and the knowledge that you have about trucking is extensive. So just keep up the good work, stay safe out there. And if there's any questions out there that anybody want to ask, you can hit me up on the educateouryouth.info, and I will contact you or give you Terry's contact information, and he will send you the answers. So Terry, stay safe, and thank you for joining me this afternoon.
Oh, anytime. I appreciate the opportunity, and I appreciate you for taking the wheel and driving the foundation forward.
Thank you, darling. Well, I'm ready for y'all to come on in.
Oh, we coming.
All right.
All right, mama.
All right. Take care.
You too. Love you.
Love you too. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Okay, lady, I'll talk with you later.